don't need to look at the camera, just look at me.
Sure.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want to hear from you your information, your full name, what is your position, and what center you are working for.
Mm-hmm. My name's Walker Giersch. I'm from America. I've been working for ILA for almost 15 years. And I'm a teacher at Ho Chi Minh 12, which is the center in Go Vap.
Okay. So can you share a specific story from your teaching experience that you find particularly inspiring?
Sure. It's not a story from my teaching experience necessarily, but it's a story I think is relevant to education and teaching English in Vietnam. When I first came to Vietnam, I lived in a small town called Long Mai in Hao Yang, and it's a very small town. And I can remember walking down the street one day, and a man rode up on his motorbike next to us, and he said, "Are you a teacher? Can you teach me English?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm a teacher. Yeah, oh, yeah, sure." And I'm still here teaching, 17 years later. So I think it shows the passion that people in Vietnam have for learning and for English, and for wanting to improve their lives.
Yeah. So what are some of the biggest obstacles that you have faced in your teaching career, 15 years in Vietnam, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I mean, there's always obstacles or challenges that you face. Some of those are cultural, living in a different country. Some of it could be the weather, could be the rainy season. In terms of teaching, every day is not going to be perfect. Every student's not going to be perfect. I'm not always going to be perfect. So the most important thing is to persevere and to enjoy the things that you're successful with, recognize why those are successful, and use that to make as many successful moments as you can with your students.
Okay, so I will ask you a little bit about your 15 years working at LA.
Sure.
Yes, LA. So is there any student or any case that you remember the most?
There's a lot of different students that I remember. Recently I've been working with a student, and he deals with dyslexia. Dyslexia is a reading and language acquisition issue that some students have, where they will scramble the letters. So instead of spelling run, R-U-N, they spell it R-N-A, because their brain changes the order. So it's very challenging for him, and it's challenging for teachers too. But we've had some success. He's gaining more confidence. So that's the most recent example I have of working with a student who needs my help, and seeing some success. Hopefully we'll have continuing success with him.
Can you share more? What did you do with the student to help him improve?
Well, you need to make sure that he has time. You can't rush through an activity. He's going to need time to sort through the problem, to look at the board and see examples on the board. So visually it's difficult for him, but he needs examples on the board. So being patient is very important, understanding the problem is very important, and then working through and giving the student praise as well when they do well. Because if they feel, often these students that have this issue don't feel very good about their studying, because it's difficult. So you need to be encouraging and support them and help them to feel good about themselves, and then they'll be motivated to continue studying.
An extra question. I want to know about your background and the reason why you choose Vietnam to work as an English teacher.
Yes, well, I came here as a volunteer almost 18 years ago now. I had wanted to volunteer somewhere in Asia and be an English teacher in that position. And I found a organization out of Stanford University in California. And they offered volunteer positions in Indonesia, Laos, Thailand, Vietnam. And it was a great opportunity. I was very interested in Laos, but Vietnam seemed like with a much larger population, there'd be more opportunities here. And I was interested in the history of Vietnam as well. I studied history in university, so history is always something I find interesting.
Okay, let's back to our main question. What motivated you to become a teacher, and what continues to drive your passion for education?
My mom's a teacher. My brother's a teacher. I'm a teacher. So I guess it's in my blood. Just again, going back to the student we discussed before, when you see students have success, sometimes they're students that have success all the time. Sometimes they're students that have success part of the time, and there are students who don't have success a lot of the time. And that's the motivation, is improving those students that don't see success very often or sometimes, and seeing them improve and seeing them take control over their own learning.
Yeah. So how do you personally define the model of an inspiring teacher?
An inspiring teacher, again, it's teachers that don't necessarily, they motivate students to learn on their own. That's what an inspiring teacher is. They get students to take control and to feel in control and to want to learn for themselves, not because their parents want it or their grandmom or their culture, but because they feel empowered to learn themselves.
So how do you deliver yourself as an inspiring teacher? Because this is in the world where you're chosen by your supervisor, your college.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. I think the number one thing you need to show students is that they're important to you, because then their learning becomes important to them. So showing the students that you care is the most important thing.
Anything else?
No, I think that's the most important thing.
Okay.
Because when students feel like they're cared for and that you have an interest in them and what they're doing, then they take more of an interest in it.
Okay. So how do you feel when you won the inspiring teacher award?
I was surprised, definitely surprised. And yeah, it just made me feel good.
Good, okay. And so how would you describe your relationship with your college and overall working environment at ILA?
I think one of the things I strive for in my relationships with my colleagues is to make sure that regardless of what's happening for me in my day, my life, that those interactions we have are positive. So if it's working with my teaching assistant in the classroom, making sure that I'm being, a good colleague to them. If it's working with the local staff in the teacher support center, whether it's the schedulers or the CC team, other teachers, I want to make sure that they feel good about the interactions we have every day.
So what advice would you give to aspiring teachers or those who are new to the teaching?
Most important thing with teaching and developing as a teacher is to be patient. Teaching's not easy. A lot of people can do it, a lot of different personalities. There's different methods, there's different techniques, there's different personalities. So be patient, keep working, keep looking for answers. If you're not asking questions about your teaching, then you should be. Is that the best activity? Was that the best way to show the students the language, to give them the language? So ask questions. If you're not asking questions about your own teaching and how you're delivering to the students, then you should be.
Is there a particular word or motto that you live by as a teacher?
Yes. So going back to what I just said, an important motto for me is you can't learn if you don't ask questions.
So how do you maintain a work-life balance while dedicating yourself to your student and your teaching job?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's important to know when to step up and when to step back. And stepping up means you're going to take on more for a certain period of time, take on more work or do more for a certain class because you know it's necessary. But then you need to be able to take a step back and realize that you need your own time at home, on holiday, at the coffee shop, exercising, whatever it is. You need to be able to step back from your work and leave it over here and enjoy the things that you really enjoy.
So we're done with the personal question, and we will move to the part 2 about the concept innovation. Okay. So in your opinion, why innovation important in education today?
I think the most important innovation is not necessarily innovation, but how we use technology appropriately. Technology doesn't teach. Teachers teach. Technology is a tool. It's not an answer. So we need to use technology, whether it's Google Slides, smart TVs, whether it's AI, whatever it is, it's just a tool.